He is a founder of the Jakl Den, and we just want to check in with him. So first of all, what kind of activities do the Jakl Den engage in conjunction with the Jackals?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things is we want to make sure that everybody in Dallas, DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, knows about rugby, professional rugby in Dallas. That they come out to the Jakl games. They know that they've got people that are going to warmly welcome them into the Jakl Den. And then all the other stuff we're doing on the backside. So we're organizing as a nonprofit. We are going into the community, organizing youth rugby events. We're also working with the clubs to try and organize some different club events as well in Dallas.
Yeah, those are all awesome activities. One other question I have for you, for all the fans that are checking in with us that are thinking about coming into Dallas, how can they get more information about where to stay, what to do, and how to connect up with the Jakl Den?
Yeah, so you can find us on Instagram at the Jakl Den. You can find us on Twitter at the Jakl Den, and of course on Facebook, the Jakl Den. If you look up Dallas Jackals, we'll be one of the first things that pops up. You can always email us, the JaklDen at gmail.com. That's the JaklDen at gmail.com.
Thank you, Rick. Enjoy the rest of the day. Chicago's going to get
Go Jackals!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Jakl Den podcast. I am your president and host, Daryl Keith Hendon, aka the Fair Weather Rugby Fan. So we had looked to having a special guest with me on this evening, another member of the Jakl Den, Kibui. If you've been around, you know who he is. He's a character, but unfortunately, these Chromebooks, they're not easy to record anything on, so we will be doing a lot of clips and whatnot. Obviously, the first clip you saw before the game before the video here, was Rick Collins, man. Loud and proud in the Windy City there in Chicago. It was cold. You can look on his face and tell it was bloody cold. But before we even get to any of that, we got to do these announcements, guys. You know how it usually is. Rick does them. He's really good at them. I'm not so much. But a couple of announcements. Obviously, the big one we will be live again at the Londoner Pub in Addison next Saturday. 3:30 kickoff in the afternoon, so we'll be there about 3 o'clock. Small crew we had this weekend out at the Londoner. It was like 4 of us. Yeah, 4 of us. But we were loud, probably louder than it's ever been. Obviously, with the Jackals almost winning this game, we had reason to get loud at the Londoner. People were kind of poking their heads around the corner and kind of being like, hey, what's going on over here? But yeah, 24-22 the final, obviously, with that. And our merch site, man. People have been buying stuff up. We've been seeing the merch around. My girlfriend got a couple of pieces. I've got some stuff on the way. The merch, man, it's very, very, we're getting proceeds from that to kind of go towards helping us become a nonprofit organization, not-for-profit organization, and kind of just solidifying a little bit more of the fan club. The bigger we get, the more real we can make this, and make this the biggest and baddest fan club in all of Major League Rugby. So I obviously always leave the link underneath the videos here. So without further ado, we will get into it. I will do some clips here with Kibui, and then I will come back with mine, and we'll kind of get some ice of what happened this weekend.
Hello, Jakl Den fans, and our fearless Jakl King is in Chicago, enjoying himself in the freezing cold and the wind chill after watching the game last night in the Windy City. So you're stuck with me and our president, Keith Hendon, for the review of the game that took place last night in Chicago. So, lost by 2 points. Is that going to be our best chance to get a win this season? Maybe. This is a Chicago side that was put together with cast-offs from the very, very good Giltinis and Gilgronis. And it's taken them a while to gel. They're still not as good as they could be, or as good as we thought they would be at the beginning of the season. And we dropped the game by 2 points. Penalty in the 77th minute after they go 70 yards down the field and lose that game. So the game starts off with a bang. We contest possession in their close to their 22. We eventually win the ball, come back halfway, couple of phases, and then we come all the way till the 15-yard on the left side of the field, and then the scrum half goes ahead and switches play back to the open side of the field. And then at the next breakdown, it goes through 4 pairs of RG hands, Valentini, Gomez Vara, to Malinos, who offloads to Moroni. He has just enough space to tiptoe down the sideline, and he gets that ball down. 1 minute in, 5 points up. Carlsa makes as good as an attempt as you can from the sideline, hits the post, hits the crossbar, and pops off. How crucial were those 2 points going to be? We lost by 2. Go figure. And then we go into a spell where we're just kind of hanging on for dear life. And the man of the match for the Chicago team, Mark O'Keefe, playing at 14. He played at 13 for most of last season for the Galgronis, and this guy is the business. If he was eligible for the Eagles last year and he didn't play, somebody in US Rugby ought to, take a good look at themselves in the mirror, because this guy was, by and large, probably the best player for the Galgronis last season. He was the best player on the field today, no question about it, both sides. Mark O'Keefe, he has a slight frame, but he keeps his feet so well. He knows how to step off either foot, acceleration, power, leg drive. The guy broke our gain line multiple times in traffic. And so our scrum half tries to take him up top, and he gets basically almost knocked out. He might have had a mild concussion, and O'Keefe goes under and he scores. They miss the conversion, and the game is on. We didn't lose that game because we got overpowered. We didn't lose that game because we got out scrummed and had the ball sent down the field 30, 40, 50 meters consistently. And that's what really irks me about today, is we had a really good chance to get that first win because we were just as good as them, maybe marginally better in certain phases of play, but they just stuck it out, and they took their opportunity. They made their opportunities in the last 5 minutes when they were down in their 22, actually on the 5-yard line with 7 minutes to go. So I want to talk about set pieces a little bit, because that was the Achilles heel for the team last year. We have a bona fide starting 8 that can just about match any team across the board now in scrummaging. And Juan Pablo Zais, Revol, Baravaje, Gomez Vara, Gala. Sam Gala, who was a back row, has excelled as a lock. I honestly didn't think he was going to do well there. It's so much harder for a back row to go into the locking position and to excel than it is for a mobile lock, to go and play like 6 and to do that well. And the guy he's just taken to the role, and it's going to serve his career well. This guy, I think, in another year or two, when he gets back to playing in the back row, is going to be a bona fide monster, because he has that grit in him. He's shown that he can play at lock. And with him and Boyson, Conrado, and Gomez Vara just give you a dynamic trio. There's some fetching there. There's a lot of work in the loose. There's a lot of good running in the tight and the loose. And, the scrums, we're slowly turning that into a weapon. And I think we're going to get to the point where we're going to be able to use that as a weapon to get that yardage down the field, get the penalties and yardage down the field. For the lineouts, 2 very different approaches from the sides. Chicago was going quick, and then a quick peel and offload, or a pop down to the scrum half and out to the line quickly, whereas we were mauling it pretty effectively for most of the game. Really, really unlucky that Gomez Vara sealed off on that line out that just before halftime on 39 minutes. So lift, come down, he binds behind the lock who's got the ball, and he binds in front of the lock, so in front of the opposition. Kat Roach didn't catch it. She called try on, but the touch judge waved it back. He said, you need to hold back the kick. Reviewed it, they overturned it. Right call. In the scheme of things, going into the half, 5 points up instead of tied, that maybe changes that spectrum in the game. But that's what happened. And going into the second half, They pop in a couple of quick penalties, 2 quick penalties, then an unconverted try, and it's 21-10. And at that point, we're sitting here wondering as if this is business as usual, because that 45 to about 70 minutes in the game is where the Jackals has lost their games for most of last season and this season. And we're just watching the game and just kind of frustrated with the fact that we've been ultra competitive and it looks like this game is going to slip away as well. We fight back and get back into it, and ultimately our replacement 17, Connor Robinson, scores off a maul, and now we're back in the game. And it's just a matter of maintaining that ball, maintaining possession and field presence, field position. We end up coming back down with 7 minutes to go, and we have a line out, and we have a maul that's moving forward, and then Connor gets a little antsy, and he peels off when he should have stayed in, and he's kind of isolated. Ball gets knocked on, that leads to their scrum, leads to the pick, leads to them breaking out to the 22, leads to a penalty, leads to the scrum in the middle of the field, and then ultimately Matina comes, shows the ball, and he steps in between Vara and Campbell Johnstone, and by the time he's caught inside our 22, we're already behind the gain line. Couple more phases, penalty, they kick it over. Now they're 2 points up, and we're sitting here looking at the game about to slip away. Then we go back down the field, and we somehow get back into the 22, retain possession, get back into the 22, go a couple of phases back and forth. When I first watched it, I thought that Cat had completely missed a bunch of infringements. Looking back at it after I rewatched it, I think the one where Michael Baska steps over, he's in an offside position. He's infringing against the scrum half, getting that ball and getting it out. That's a penalty for me all day. Whether Carlson makes it or not, I don't know. But it should have been a penalty for us. And then whether Carlson makes that kick or not is up to him. And the game's lost at that point because 2 more phases, and somebody gets isolated. I think it was our 16 who got isolated, and then the ball gets picked off of him, and everybody's on the Hounds is screaming. They've won the game at home, and it's just a sad way to lose the game. That's probably our best chance to have won a game this season. We might go winless this season, I don't know. I think the Toronto Arrows game is probably our best shot. I don't think Chicago coming back will be a difference. They'll be a completely different side by the end of the season. That's 2.5, 3 months away. They're going to be a much better side than we played yesterday. So I think, not trying to be a wet blanket, but that was probably our chance to get a win this season. The games on the road, I don't see us pulling any of those. Maybe Utah when they come, depending on which Utah side shows up. That may be the win this season. I don't know, but it's gonna be a hard slog for the coming season. We're gonna need the fans out there, especially at home, to give that home support. All right. Before I go into my stars of the game, I wanna give credit and kudos to the announcer. Can pronounce their names. He called the game so well. I love it when announcers will notice something that was missed and say, oh, well, they're lucky to get away with that, or I think he was hard done by it to have that call against him. I love it when announcers don't just play the neutral card. If they see something that's been missed, call it out, and I love that. Second thing was, this was the only match in all of MLR, in all of MLR that I saw the TMO insert themselves in the right positions or the right place, even though it cost us a couple of times. And there was that good synergy. Kat missed something that was crucial. The TMO stepped in. It was foul play when Duval was sent off. Clear, cynical play. And she wasn't going to call it. She just called a penalty only. But that was a cynical infringement and a yellow card, and they got the call right. So I want to give credit. We always poop on the referees, and it's a thankless job. But I think they had an overall. I think the touch judges were touch judges. We're assistant referees today. They weren't just touch judges, marking touch or looking at conversions. They did their job, and so I'm excited about seeing more of that through the course of the year. If USA Rugby expects to be competitive at an international level, then they need to have referees who are refereeing at an international level so that we're playing to the right level of refereeing across the board. Okay, I'm going to go into my stars of the game. All three of the pack. All three players in the pack. So first one was Gomes Vara, number 6 and the captain, who had that absolute blinder of a try. He had a lot of other carries throughout the game, tackle count, just in the loose, hitting the rucks, hitting the mauls. He probably was close to our man of the match, if not our man of the match. Second is his fellow Argentinian, a prop, Juan Pablo Zeiss, who got into a bit of a scuffle with Luke White, but not just a niggle. He's abrasive. He can scrum the house down. He is playing in the loose. He's getting around the park, loose balls, and you need people like that. Absolute monster in the tight, and he's going to be one of the reasons that we'll win a game. I think we'll win one game this season. So he's my second star. Third one is Sam Gala, who continues to put in a massive shift in that second row. Just the work that doesn't go noticed. He's not getting the chance to run the tram lines and make breaks, but he is consistent in those lineouts. He's done his work in the scrums. He's tackling the house down. He's hitting those rucks. I think as he grows into the role a bit more, he's going to get opportunities to run in the loose. And so those are my 3 stars of the game, all in the pack. The team is at New England next week, so another week on the road after this deflating loss. I'm expecting a very tough game. So let's see how it goes. We'll be there to watch the game. I'm going to call Jackals go down by 20 in that game. It's just all these weeks on the road. They're tired. They need to come home and regroup. It's going to be a tough game. But I think the week after that with Toronto is going to be probably one of our best chances to win a game. We're going to be home. Let's hope we have a big crowd out there to support the team. So let's plan on coming out on the 1st of April, support the Jackals, get that first win in our season and a half, and make it happen.
24-22, the final from Chicago. Scores tried by the Jackals today will be Maroney, Pablo Zeiss, Gomes Vara, and Connor Robinson with a beauty in the second half. O'Keefe, Dominguez, Julian Dominguez gets 2 on the day for Chicago. Now, as I had said last week, or the pregame for this video, that if we kicked the ball away, we were going to lose. Well, we scored first. We were at 10-10 going into half, and it should have been 15-10. We should have been allowed that try. It was disallowed. Bit of obstruction. But we didn't kick the ball away, and look what the result was. We were our mauls were very successful, doing the 5-meter lineouts from scrum and driving them in. That was our bread and butter, and we did really, really well on it. In the second half, we kind of went away from that for a bit. We started kicking the ball away, and that's how it ended up 21-10 at one point. We get back, we take the lead with less than 10 minutes left in the go at 22-21. We give up a crap penalty, and they kick it through the uprights for that 24-22. Historic first win for Chicago, obviously, on a very, very cold day. The crowd did not look like there were people there. It's just a lot of people were dressed as seats. But, when it's -2, -3 Celsius, you don't blame them. It's cold outside. Overall, I felt like when we stuck to not what our typical game plan was, you saw the result. We owned them. When we didn't kick the ball away, an injury to speedy Eric Naposki brought in Aaron Gray. We got to see a bit of him. Kind of the same issues, both him and Naposki are very, very fast runners. They're just both products of 7s. Gray puts the scrum cap on, and he does his best to tackle as well as he can, and you saw some of his fancy footwork. I still say if that guy ever gets any open space, nobody's catching him. Nobody is going to catch him at all, period. He's too small, and he's too fast. And he's got kind of that bouncy kind of thing, kind of like that Cheslin Colby style I always bring up in my videos. But, we got to see a bit of that. we will get Elias back here soon, so that'll bring Carlsa to move back to fullback, where he's done really, really well this season as well. And Tincho is his name. Tincho Elias, that's his nickname. Martin, I think, is what his actual name is, but he goes by Tincho. And we will get Elias back, and hopefully we can get Moroni back out to the wing and kind of start working with Viafale, Naposki, and Gray. Hopefully figure out a good spot for all three of those guys, and kind of rotate them as necessary. But, really good game. We got the debut of Barafale. I cannot pronounce his name. They did actually a really good job this week of pronouncing it, but we got the debut of him. He did go out with an injury, but not anything bad, I don't believe. So it was good. Our front row was very, very dominant, with Zeiss, Rivel, and Thomas there on the front row. Very, very good. We did get to see El Bigote come back in at his place at flanker. Gomez Vara, and our number 8 on the year so far, who's having an amazing season, and that would be Adrian Boyson. But my 3 stars of the game are going to be Juan Pablo Zeiss. The guy's been a wrecking ball all year. All year he's been just a wrecking ball, and I'm loving his style. And then 2 guys off the bench, man. Connor Robinson. You guys all know me. I love my Dewey Katsia. That guy's my bro, my boat from way back. Ever since he got here, we were talking on Instagram, like, way before he even got here. Like, it was cool, because he's obviously a Safa-born player, represents Canada internationally, and, we've always just been, me and Dewey have always been like this, but, it's, Connor came off the bench the last 2 games, really, and, I believe that if he isn't getting a call from the USA Eagles camp, they're missing out. Connor Robinson needs a call. He needs to be a USA Eagle, or at least get a shot at it. That guy is amazing on the lineout. He's amazing on the scrum. He does all the right things. He's in the right spots. He got obviously rewarded with a try this week, and he's one of those young guys. Him and Sam Gola, that's the future of U.S. rugby right there. And those guys are both really good. Really, really good. And then my 3rd star, we didn't get to see a lot of him, but when he came in the game, he jumped on camera real quick, and that was Danny Christensen, who I still believe to this point is our best scrum half. That kid is wiry as hell. He's spry. He's fast. He's quick on the ball. He's in there. He's that guy that's hungry for it. When he comes off the bench, he doesn't need to be warmed up. It's right. He's ready to go. Harken it back to an old Detroit Pistons player that they called the Microwave. Danny Christensen is our Microwave. He's always heated up. He's heated up. He's ready to go. As soon as he comes in the game, the pace changes immediately, and I just want to get a little bit more of that guy, and I hope we get to see some starts from him, because he is a very, very good scrum half. So that's who gets my 3 stars of the game this week. Thank you guys again for tuning in to another edition of the Jakl Den podcast, made by the fans for the fans.